Morning guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you are doing well. In the absence of macroeconomics, the exchanges strike again. Ethereum has over $2 billion stacked around $4,200 level, and the market is thanking. I wonder why. Welcome back to the channel. Check out my channel partners Nansen, Mexi, Tangem. Of course, all links are in the description. But I've been telling you for days now, or for weeks, even for months, that they're going to engineer some kind of catastrophe towards the end of August and into the FOMC. Of course, we need to have a pivot coming from the Fed at some point. But listen, guys, this is the Bitcoin liquidation heat map over the last 24 hours. And you can see we still have a bit more to go to grab another 36 million there. But of course, liquidity in the short term is definitely stacking up towards the bottom, of course. And we have this massive liquidity here just above all-time high. But I do believe it will come for these lower levels. And this is leverage going crazy. And people are just really pissed off. There was this drop from Coin Bureau. Ethereum's trading around 4,200 today, while a massive liquidation cluster sits at the, again, further below 2150, 2160, 3940. Andrew Kang wants a massive longs wipe could drag ETH down to about 32 to 3600. Really, what they're not telling you is what I've been saying all along about the macro environment. The macro environment requires another pull down before ultimately exploding. But we could obviously see we could go the other way around. And of course, the market is literally unforgiving. It could grab liquidity and go the other way. Okay. So if you look at today, what's crypto doing? Well, Bitcoin, 3% almost. ETH, we haven't seen ETH down 6%. Nearly 7% there. XRP 5%. Hey, what do you see? USDC and USDT. Both of them are in the green. Investors are running into safety, guys. That tells you all you need to know. We look at those charts. Of course, the rest of the old market, they're all there. About 8 to 10% on the downside. Look at Sui there, nearly 8%. This is insane, guys. This is absolutely insane. But I expected this, and I've been telling you, so I don't feel as bad as somebody who hasn't actually come on here and said, guys, these markets basically will be manipulated to the point where everybody will feel at least one moment that this is a total scam. But hang in there, guys. Despite these liquidation events, cryptocurrency has never ever looked stronger and better due to adoption. I mean, there's crazy stuff I've published on the in the Discord regarding the macro side of things. So check out the Discord. It's only going to cost you $9 a month, but boy oh boy, that is important. ETH on the daily, guys. Well, we are in an area where, again, we've just cleared out a lot of liquidity, and there is a institutional block over there. With Ethereum, with Bitcoin is a little bit different. I think on the daily, we could still see a further pullback because there's a lot of institutional money that's being traded around at these order blocks here. But of course, in the short term, in the hourly, in the 4 hourly, there are levels to defend for BTC before ultimately we test potentially the lower level. Okay. Now, interestingly, there's a chart. People aren't actually looking at any of the macro charts, right? So this is the total crypto market cap, guys. Look at this. What we need to do is we need to break above that 1.6 to 1.4 trillion level, and we go rejected. But I want you to notice something, right? Let's change this to the daily so you could actually see how I've literally called this. Like, I've been watching this previously. We had a huge rejection here in December. So if we just pull this back, you will actually see, and let me just go let me just pinpoint that with great level of accuracy. Guys, this chart is also very important, right? The total 2 is very, very important. But if you see, we got rejected from the total 2. We broke down, came back up, okay, got rejected here. And that led to the bottom candle that we had on the 3rd of February before ultimately coming to April here. April 7th, 8th, and 9th was the lowest point for the total 2. And it's very important you look at things like this because obviously you would see what levels we could sit at. And of course, that rejection there was extremely, extremely clear. Okay, this was as clear as a daylight. Now, are we seeing something similar here? Right? We will get a retest. But if you look at the canny similarities, right? That is 1, 2, 3 days, 4 days of red rejection or red candles. What we need to do is we need to go build some level of support here, right? At this level. And we need to attempt breaking that. At the moment, no institutional blocks here on the daily. We look at the 4-hourly one, it's about 1.5 trillion in terms of support. But really, because we've kind of like, we're about to break this level of support, I do believe that this will be ultimately coming down a little bit more to this level here. Okay, this will be our ultimate to bounce and to try and break $1.4 trillion again. Very, very clear. And in addition to that, you have to also remember, let's just pull up these macro charts, guys. So if you go to these macro charts, you would see the absolute devastation that is the total 3. The total 3 right now actually sits at very good level, but what we need is if it pulls back, we must hold around this $900 billion level. This is going to be a must for the total 3. Okay. In addition to that, guys, we haven't, we're not done with these yet. We need to look at the number one enemy here. And of course, that is the USDT dominance. Look at this on the daily candle. 1, 2, 3, 4 days in a row, the USDT dominance has been going up. And of course, it's been in a bearish trend for a very long time. I do believe it will make another attempt to come back up. But once we put this into perspective on the larger moves, hopefully we will break this support because this is a very big support level for the USDT dominance. But we can see that the RSI is not really pointed up. And at some point, we will get hopefully a bit more resistance at this level. And we will reject around these levels. So 4.5% is probably where the most resistance lies in USDT dominance, guys. So look, do not despair. There's a lot of, good stuff coming for crypto. And like I said in yesterday's video, this was a brilliant time yesterday. We're at 290 for Epic. Great time to take a little bit off. The price did dip back as low as, I think it was about 270, 260. However, this candle got smaller and smaller and smaller. It's getting eaten up like you won't believe, guys. This is absolutely an epic project in terms of how the candles behave. Once you look, if you look at this on the hourly, you start to realize that this thing is mental, man. So this is a good support level that it hasn't come down to yet, around this $2.50, $2.60 level. But yeah, market cap is up quite nicely. Of course, there are other projects that we can look at. There's smart wallets that I track as well. Some pretty big movements. Mostly what you need to look at is some of these outlooks, right? You see in this, look at Kita, right? 0 inflows, $800,000 outflow, right? There are these other pump and dump projects as well. So, people need to understand sometimes, look, the outflow and the inflow don't really, if they match like this is obviously market making, computerized, bots just buying and selling equal amounts. keeping relevance. But what I do look for here is when the amount of outflows, right, exceeds the amount of inflows, you do understand there's a beautiful dump happening within that particular project. But all of these projects have now so far got a decent amount of volume in there, you know, coming in. And a lot of this, you know, you could see again, I like to look for inflows. You know, this thing here, look, market cap 1.4 AI, but I would be super careful with these. Universe AI, don't know what that is, but it looks like it's only got a liquidity of 80K, very high chance of rugging if you look at it that way. It received 400K inflow and almost all, you know, same amount has gone out of that token, okay? And yeah, I mean, listen, you know, we do track these wallets. We do look at, I've actually got one of the most important wallets from the guy who is #1 on the bonk side. So if you want to see what that wallet is, guys, join the VIP. Anyway, I'll catch you on the next one, but do not panic because crypto, look, it's easy to overlook at these things and feel shit right now. But I've been saying it to you for time and time. That's why you come to the channel, to understand what the hell's going on with the market. But we will be fine long term, guys. This is not time to be shaken out. It's just time to sit back, relax, and see what you want to get. If we enter a bear market, well, that's a different discussion altogether. But at this moment in time, this cycle may potentially run into 2026. Let me know your comments, smash a like, share the video, and I'll catch you on the next one.